dear SAP friends and SAP colleagues. In today's video I would like to talk about a concept about which I've been talking a lot in the past years, and this concept is in-memory computing. Why am I able to talk about this concept? Well, I've written my master thesis about this concept and I've been developing applications which are, so to say, using this concept because the systems were allowing it. But however, let's start with answering a very simple question: what is actually in-memory computing? And in-memory computing is basically not having the data on the hard disks, but having it in RAM. And why is this, and how is this possible? Well, it is pretty clear. You have to have a lot of RAM in order to be able to have all the data on the RAM or in the RAM, on the random access memory, not on the hard disks. And this is something which nowadays is possible. It comes with its cost because the RAM is still very expensive. I mean, nowadays RAM is, as far as I'm aware of the last prices, so to say, the RAM is now RAM costs like 100 times more than hard disk, but like 10 years ago it was 1,000 times more expensive. And basically this is the main fact that more and more companies are able to buy such systems where RAM is so much that they can load all the data on it. But however, it is not almost in any case about money. It is, some companies have the money, they can allow themselves to do this. And the main reason is the fact that in the last 20-25 years, we have seen a drastic exponential growth of the usage of e-commerce, of the mobile applications, of IoT, of Internet of Things, devices which are almost everywhere around us, of, if you wish, of smartphones with more and more sensors and stuff. And basically, all these things mean that we have a lot of data nowadays. I am not going to show you statistics about how the data is growing, but this is actually the main reason why some companies, this exponential growth of data, need faster ways to get the data and to work with it. Because when it comes to the technical side of the things, if you are keen on performance, basically you have to know that you have read statements, so to say, from the database, and it depends how the system, how the architecture is built, but it can take a lot of time if you have a lot of data. And now I'm going to talk about SAP and how they have done it, because they have the last SAP system, or the last SAP platform, the so-called S/4HANA platform, is actually built on, or can be built. It requires in-memory computing, which means basically that a requirement for building S4 is to have in-memory computing databases, and this is the first step, or they can both be implemented simultaneously, but this is the first step which you have to do if you are a company which wants to implement the last updates, if you wish, of SAP, the last system of SAP. You have to have in-memory computing, and this is called the HANA DB, the HANA database, which has in-memory computing. And if you have HANA DB, then you can also have SAP S4, which is the newest system, and it requires in-memory computing databases. So this is the first thing that you have to know, because some companies are implementing them both simultaneously, but some companies are going first for the in-memory computing databases, and then they install, so to say, and make the architectural changes in order to be able to implement SAP S4. Okay, this is the first thing. We have already mentioned that it is all about the RAM, that all the data would be there. And now we are going to talk about some of the basic concepts which are, so to say, lying under the main concept of in-memory computing. And for this reason, we're going to jump now in internet, and I'm going to show you some articles and stuff which I have found and which will, so to say, make more sense to you. So let's jump. So as you can see, I have already opened an article here, which is from a person called Mohammad Rodhitavov, and this guy is PhD in computer science and senior software engineer at LinkedIn. This guy is actually have written this, well, actually this is a small article in my opinion, but a very simple, and he talks about in-memory versus on-disk databases, which means basically that he's comparing the two types. And what we have here, we have in-memory on this side and on-disk on this side. And as you can see, the main data in the concept of in-memory is here, where RAM is, and we have backup, which is on disk, which is pretty simply explained, and I think it cannot be explained simpler. Whereas if you see on the right side, we have the on-disk option where we don't have in-memory, and the main data is on the disk and RAM is used as cache, which basically means that you can cache specific things, or the most, it depends how you have set the system up, but you can actually cache a lot of things. And this is the main thing which I have already explained to you, but now it is shown pretty clearly. And what else we have? We also have here what is the durability in an in-memory database. Well, I'm going only for the small pictures, if you wish, here, which are pretty clear. And this is something which I really like, because it is all about here the specific the specific operations that we have, right? I mean, we all the backend guys, and not only, we are working with operations. We have update requests, we have return, write, append, and delete also. And what we can see here is that actually the thing here which is explained is that on the disk we have the log, which is actually logging, so to say, all the things. And if you decide to update something on the database, it would come from outside. If you decide to return if you decide to append something, it would go and be logged on the disk. But however, everything which is going through the database or update, if you have update or update request, it would go only to the database. But if you have also write, it would directly come from the database to the RAM. Basically, database is still, so to say, saying to the RAM what has to be done. And also, if you decide to extract something, basically the RAM is the extract something from the database. Basically, the RAM is staying behind. The RAM is the database, you know. And this is something which is pretty nice about this concept, because RAM, what you have, I think the most important thing to understand from this picture here is the fact that RAM can be seen as the database, and this is all about, it's not all about in-memory computing, but it's the underlying concept once again, and it makes it pretty durable. And this is another one which I'm not going to talk about. However, I would like to mention now a very important fact which is so to say a little bit more technical now, but it is very important as well. And for this reason, I would like to open this one here, this article. This is from the SAP community, and it is called ABAP for HANA Code Pushdown, the article. And this is another concept which I want to talk about, and this is very important as a concept when it comes to SAP HANA and the in-memory computing databases. Because in the normal systems where you don't have in-memory computing, you can write a given select, right? You can write a select, and with this select you can extract data from the database, right? And if you have loop and in it you have select, basically you can loop, so to say, over 1,000 rows, and for every row you are calling a select, then you have 1,000, so to say, moves between the database and the application server, right? And this is something which costs a lot of time, if you wish, a lot of resources, and it is not really good for performance. many years ago, or actually not that many, like 20, 30 years ago, where we haven't had that much data, and we had batches which were, so to say, working with masses of data. We weren't in the need of having loop and init select, but nowadays, because of the fact that we have so many dynamics in our internet world and so many online transactions, if you wish, we need to have something much more faster, right? And this is the reason, and this is actually the place where in-memory computing is coming, and it's doing its thing. And basically, in-memory computing is allowing us, first of all, to have the data on the RAM, which is making it much more faster to access. And the second reason why in-memory computing is so vital and so important is the fact that is the fact that there are specific ways of writing the code in order, when it comes to SAP, I'm pretty aware of these rules because I've been analyzing them, and now I'm going to talk about it. And basically, this concept, code push down, means that you have to you have to push down the code in order to make the calculations of the data in the database and not have that many moves between the database and the application server. And this is something which I am not going to talk about in terms of code now, because in this video I want to talk more about the specific concepts and stuff. But code pushdown is basically a concept mainly about how you write code, and if you apply this concept in your code, you would be able to extract the most of in-memory computing, right? But even if you do not do this, even if you do not understand this concept, and even if you do not apply it, because sometimes it requires specific knowledge, sometimes it requires not to write the simple select statements, but to write more complex select statements and to use CDS views or whatever. I'm not going now to get into detail about this stuff, but sometimes it requires a different knowledge, and a lot of ABAP developers are not really inclined to learn new things. And this is the reason why, even if you do not understand this concept, you are able to take advantage of in-memory computing. For instance, knowing how in-memory computing, only if you know how in-memory computing is working, you would be able to write one select before the loop, get all the data with one move, so to say, and then use it in the loop, right? Because it makes a lot of difference if you have in-memory computing in your company, or your system is, so to say, based or have this in-memory computing capability. Okay, this is something very important as well, and as I've said, I'm not going to talk about specific examples how the things are done. I hope that this is pretty okay at this point. If you wish to see examples of code, how you can write something when it comes to code pushdown, or when it comes to in-memory computing in comparison to old system where in-memory computing wasn't the case, just write down in the comments, and I would definitely like to make another video where I'm explaining these things a little bit deeper. I would like to talk in today's video about one more thing, because it is not directly related to in-memory computing, but is a very vital and essential part when it comes to performance, and in-memory computing is all about performance. It costs a lot, as we said, but some companies can allow themselves to buy such systems or to rebuild the system to this type of systems where the data is stored on RAM. And one more concept here, which is very important, is the columnar and row-based data storage. When it comes to SAP HANA, the SAP HANA database, as you can read here, supports two types of table. Those that store data either column-wise, column tables, or row-wise, row tables. SAP HANA is optimized for column storage, and this is the default table type. Conceptually, a database table is a two-dimensional data structure with cells organized in rows and columns. Computer memory, however, is organized as a linear sequence. For storing a table in linear memory, two options can be chosen and shown below. A row store stores a sequence of records that contains the fields of one row in the table. In a column store, the entries of a column are stored in contiguous memory locations. And this is something which is pretty essential because SAP uses this mechanism, this different type of maintaining the data for performance reasons. And basically, if you have like here we have this different as they're called here, contiguous memory locations, and you have all the countries, all the products, and all the sales. And when it comes, and this is how SAP, the HANA, is actually, if you set the table to be column-based, this is how the data would be stored. And how then SAP, or your query, if you wish, or your select, knows that where is the data. And here we come to the last very important concept which I want to talk about in this video, and it is about the compression mechanisms which SAP is using. For this reason, let's read this simple statement here. In the SAP HANA database, tables that are organized in columns are optimized for high-performing read operations while still providing good performance for write operations. Efficient data compression is applied to save memory and speed up searches and calculations. Furthermore, some features of the SAP HANA database, such as partitioning, are available only for column tables. Column-based storage is typically suitable for big tables with bulk updates. However, update and insert performance is better on row tables. Row-based storage is typically suitable for small tables with frequent single updates. So what we have learned here, that update and insert performance is better on row tables, and when it comes to read, we have to have column-based tables. And the main reason for this is all about, the main reason to have this separation, if you wish, is that the way that the data is compressed, when in the column-based storage, it is a way which is suitable for write operations. And this is actually the main thing that you have to understand if you are a developer or if you want to know more about these concepts, and you just have to use it. So guys, this is actually all about this concept that I wanted to talk about in this video. Maybe you have heard a lot of new things, or maybe you are thinking that I've been talking a lot about things but not saying anything. Whatever it is the case, just write down into the comments and let me know what exactly do you want to understand more, or what exactly you are interested in, and I will definitely, if you have some questions, I would definitely like to answer them. However, I'm using all these concepts in my everyday work and I understand them, and the main reason for me making this video is actually the fact that these concepts are very important nowadays. I already explained why. It is basically the data that we have nowadays, the so big amount of data, if you wish, or the piles of data, and the big companies have to be able to access this data in a very fast manner, and SAP is understanding this pretty well. SAP is already more than 50 years on the market, and they are building systems for the biggest companies in the world, and they know what the big companies or the biggest companies need, and this is the main reason why the newest system of SAP is actually based on in-memory. In-memory is, so to say, the trendiest database in my opinion when it comes to big data. And as I have said, if you're interested in a specific topic or a specific concept from all of these that I've mentioned in this video, just write down into the comments and I'll make another video for you. Thank you for your attention. I wish you all the best. Stay healthy and till next time, friends. Goodbye.